Good evening and welcome to our Meet the Candidate Forum sponsored by the Beatrice Area Chamber of Commerce. My name is Kurt Spilker and I'll be your moderator for tonight. Tonight's forum is being videotaped and will be rebroadcast over the next 2 weeks on Channel 9. Each candidate will be allowed a 2-minute introduction. After that, we'll move to the question and answer period. Each candidate will be limited during that period to no more than 2 minutes in their response. Please focus on what you would do, not what has been done in the past. As the moderator, I will ask follow-up questions if needed. If the audience would like to submit business-related questions, please write them down and give them to one of our assistants. At the end of the question and answer period, each candidate will be allowed a 2-minute summation. Prior to the start of the forum, we drew names to determine in which order the candidates will speak, and we're going to start off tonight with Ted Fairbanks.
Thanks. And we ready, Kurt?
Go ahead.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thanks for the people watching at home, and thanks for the people that are here. Hope you're watching to make an educated decision and not just for the entertainment values. I guess I'll let you know a little bit about who I am. Like Kurt said, my name's Ted Fairbanks. I've lived in the 2nd Ward the entire time. My wife and I lived in Beatrice. Julie and I moved here in '83. I moved back here to work for the sheriff's office. I grew up in Wymore, but went to college in Lincoln, and we lived out in the Panhandle, out in Sydney, for about 5 years while I worked for the sheriff's office out here, and I came back here to work as a deputy sheriff, and subsequently left that, and I worked for United Parcel Service. I'm a delivery driver. I've been doing that. This is my 26th year. I work in Beatrice, have the same route, essentially, deal with the same people day in and day out. My wife and I have been married for 33 years. We have 2 children. My oldest son, Tim, and his wife live in Iowa City with our remarkable grandson, Cooper. He's about 6 months old. My youngest son and his fiance live in Omaha. Both the boys went through grade school and high school here, graduated from Beatrice, and we've enjoyed calling Beatrice home. So I guess that's 2 minutes worth of who Ted Fairbanks is.
Thank you, Ted. Our next speaker will be Stan Stierwalt. Stan, please.
Thank you. My name is Stan Stierwalt again. I have lived here in Beatrice since the 60s. Went to high school here, went to Peru State College, went to the military, served in Vietnam. After college, I went to many states, just got transferred around a lot. So I haven't been around Beatrice for a long time, the past 3 years. Thanks to my parents for bringing me back, because not for the best thing, but because my mom can't get around very well at times. So I'm glad to be here when both of them are getting up in their age. I look forward to tonight. Again, I haven't been around Beatrice for so many years, but this is my first public service job. So. But I've worked with large Fortune 500 companies for the past 12 and 15 years, and currently work for a National Park Service. I've got a wife of 15 years coming up this July, which I'm supposed to mark that off, so I told that. I have got 5 kids and 4 grandchildren, and I look forward to hoping to be on the City Council of Beatrice. Thank you.
Thank you, Stan. Alan Fetty will be next. Alan?
Thanks, Kurt. Again, my name is Al Fetty. I have been a representative on the City Council in Beatrice for 24 of the last 26 years, and served on the Planning and Zoning Commission for about 3 years prior to that. Since we're doing the historicals, I guess I moved to Beatrice in 1973. My wife and I got married in 1975. My wife Rose and I are both retired teachers. We both spent 33 years. I taught industrial arts in the Beatrice system for a number of years, and my wife taught 33 years of first graders. Many people in the community probably had her as a first grade teacher. I have gotten involved with the city government simply out of desire to assist, help, and try to improve the community. And I continue to have a desire to do that. I look forward to answering the questions this evening, and hope that everyone will have an opportunity to get a hold of me if they have any questions beyond this evening's activities.
Thank you, Al. Our next question will be for Stan. The city has had several major community improvements in recent history. The library, the high school, the water park, airport expansion. What would you like to see next?
Well, I think Mr. Cook and Mr. Byers and some of the other people have already mentioned that, again, me not being in the city for as long as I should be, possibly, but infrastructure, I think, is one of the biggest things to me, just being back. I know I bought an older house here in town, and just seeing some of the sewer systems and things that are hooked up to some of these older places that I don't know if that's from the streets or just in the old houses, but it just seems to me like that is something that needs to be. And then also, I think Mr. Schmaley mentioned the basement work in the library. I think that's an excellent start, educating the youngsters and making sure they have a place to go and find those things that they need.
Thank you. Mr. Fairbanks.
I'm sorry, Kurt. What was the question?
Don't feel bad. I'm out of order anyway. I lost my place already. The city has had several major community improvements in recent years. The library, the high school, the water park, the hospital, and airport expansion and remodel. What would you like to see next?
Oh, you know, in a perfect world, I guess I'd like to see Google or eBay move here. That's probably not going to happen. If you're asking a specific thing, I'd like to see the trail system completed around the community. If you're looking for an economic development question of what business we'd like to see here, I'd like to see something a little more on the tech side, something that we can do in conjunction with the college, with SCC. I think we lack that. But on a retail side or a business side, I think that we need to reach out, not the council, because that's really not their function. I think we need to have the economic development group or some marketing group reach out to a smaller business, some spinoff that you'd look like from what they're doing in the Haymarket in Lincoln, and have them redevelop part of our downtown or see what we can do. So I'm not sure if I got all the question answered there.
Good enough for me.
Okay.
Alan.
As has been stated, I think infrastructure is something that every community has to deal with. We have, as was stated earlier, sewer lines and water mains that are over 100 years old, and we need to be replacing those. And we have had a comprehensive program in place for a number of years now to replace those on a regular annual basis. But we having difficulty keeping up because funds are very, very short. But I think that probably I don't know if there is any one big project sitting out there that I think we really need to start jumping on. I think there are some that are probably going to come up in the future. We are going to have to address the fire station issue at some point in time. We've looked at it, but haven't come to any conclusions yet and don't have any plan out there yet. And the library project is obviously a very important one. The library is now 20 years old. It's not a real recent addition, but it is 20 years old now. And I was very involved in that project at that time. But I guess probably the one thing that we really have to do as a community, and I think it's a very major project, if you want to call it that, is to redevelop our image. As was stated earlier, 10 years ago, we were the model economically in the development world. And we lost that, and the people in the state will tell you that we've lost that. So I think it's really important that we do something to redevelop our image, and everybody in the community's got to help do that. Things that we've heard from companies that have come and we were very, very successful in almost landing was that we don't have recreational facilities. A lack of a water facility or water recreation facility was a key issue. And we do need to continue to develop in the area of the arts as well, and try to improve our community's image, because very little happens down the road if people can't come to us and look positively at what we're doing.
Thank you, Alan. The next question, we'll start with Alan, because quite frankly, gentlemen, I got out of order here, so we're going to try to get some semblance of order back again. In 1888, the population of Beatrice was estimated to be at 12,000 people. It's 124 years later, and essentially we're at the same spot. What would you do, or what do you see as the best way to grow Beatrice? And I'm going to throw a little bit of an add in there too. One of the questions, how do we draw in that 25 to 35-year-old crowd that may not be native to Nebraska or Beatrice?
Well, actually, I think trying to draw in that 30 to 40-year-old group that moved away from here when they first got out of high school is important. And I think there are efforts that we can make as a community to try and lure some of those folks back. They got out of high school and they said, God, I'm getting out of this place. I've had it for 18 years. I don't want it anymore. And they leave. They go somewhere else. 10, 15 years, 20 years down the road, they discovered that maybe some things weren't so terrible back there in the old Beaterville. And we have had some that have come back. And I think we do need to attract some of them back. Attracting jobs isn't necessarily the way that we're going to do that, because I don't think that people move to jobs the way they did 50 years ago. In 1986, when I first came on the council, there was one building in the industrial park, the first 80-acre industrial park. There are now, I don't know, Lori, tell me, 1,300 jobs out there, somewhere in that range, 1,000. So we've added 1,000 jobs there, but we've lost some in other places. Population is not going to change probably significantly. As Mr. Barnard said, we've been able to hold our own, where a lot of communities that are not on the interstate have not held their own terribly well. So I think we do need to find a little solace in the fact that we have grown slightly, but we really haven't grown in leaps and bounds. And honestly, I don't see that we probably will. But if we could attract 5 or 6 or 100 or 1,000 more people, it would be great. But obviously, in the 40 years I've lived here, it hasn't happened. And a lot of things have changed in this community, and it hasn't attracted people. And I think a lot of that's because of the fact that people don't move to jobs. They're willing to drive to their job.
Thank you. Stan.
Well, I think when I graduated in high school in 1971, the population was around 15,000, and I believe that we had one of the highest graduating classes back at that time. So where did they go? Well, I know where I went. I went to the military, went to the college, and you know what? I didn't come back here because there wasn't any jobs. Jobs that would qualify myself after I got out of college that I felt was going to help me. I would have loved to stay here in Beatrice where I knew everybody. So how do we get them back? Let's work with the small business owners and entrepreneurs and the medium business owners, and let's see what we have here in Beatrice that we can help them get some excellent jobs in here, some white collar and blue collar jobs. There's always going to be the blue collar people, and there will be a need for the white collar people to make those businesses work. So how do we do it? I really don't have that good answer, but maybe if there was some things here to attract those people, and what that is, I don't have the answer yet. But let's try to find out as a group, as a city, as a county, see what we can do.
Thank you, Stan. Ted?
Well, I understand the population number hasn't changed, but the number of households has. I mean, you look at households 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. My wife and I raised 2 boys. My mother's one of 8. So you look at the size of the city of Beatrice 100 years ago, it wasn't very big. It's pretty good size now. I mean, you from 40 years ago, 30 years ago when I was in high school and we would come to Beatrice, the home I lived in didn't exist. I mean, that was out of town. So Beatrice is growing. We're just not growing in numbers. Number of households is growing. People don't have as many children, and the people that are elderly stay close in single families or single homes. I found that as I walked the ward and as I checked the voting records, there's a lot of people that live by themselves here. But what we need to do is something that we're not doing. We're not planning. We're not trying to figure out what we need to do 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now to have industrial growth, to have population growth. All we're doing as a council, all we're doing as a city is we're showing up every month and we're paying the bills and we're moving on to the next month. We're not setting any long-range plans. We're not checking to see where we're at, where we've been, or where we're going. And that's our biggest flaw. It's people that are in business for themselves, people that have a household that are planning on retiring someday. It's not planning to fail. It's failing to plan, and that's what we've done. And we need to get away from that. We need to incorporate every aspect of the city of Beatrice. Business owners, people that work for businesses, Chamber of Commerce's, councils, boards, and have them all work together, but plan this thing out and follow it.
Thank you. Our next question will go to, if I've got this anywhere close to right, we'll go to Stan first. Economic development has always been a topic of debate when it comes to the city. In your opinion, what is the role of the city in funding economic development using tax dollars?
Well, the city is always going to have to, I think, help fund that, if not at some percentage. What that is, I don't know. But if we are not, as a city, helping that economic development move forward, then I don't believe that we can make any just decisions in how that is going to work. And we need to put that money forth so we can get some consultants and some people in here that actually understand the economic development, where we can make sure that they are putting our money that we're putting into this in the right way. So yes, I definitely would agree that we need to put some money into the economic development.
Thanks, Stan. Next we'll go to Ted.
The city's going to have to fund the majority of the economic development, whatever it is in Beatrice. The county simply doesn't have the revenues. It doesn't have the resources that the city does. It doesn't have the revenue sources. So they're always going to pay the lion's share. But what needs to be done with economic development is, yet again, planning. We have to have cause and effect. You have to be able to figure out if you're getting a big enough bang for your buck. If you're going to put in $1,000, you should know what you're going to get out of it. If you're going to put in $100,000, you should know what you're going to get out of it. The new group that's been formed is a great start, but there's, near as I can tell from what I've been able to ascertain, there's no way of measuring whether they're going to be successful or not. We had our old economic development group that we simply kept funneling money to for 20 plus years, and they'd show up here every 3 months and give us a report of how many ribbons they cut, how many cakes they made, how many visits they made, how many packets they sent out, and they told us they were doing a great job. And they simply weren't. We finally put a stop to it, a very unpleasant stop to it, very awkward, unpleasant stop to it. But we have to figure out what we're spending our money on. And hiring an outside organization is great, but you have to market Beatrice. And hiring someone to market it is fine. But the city of Beatrice and the people that live here and the people that are on the county board and the people that are on the city council, we're the experts on what the city of Beatrice needs. You hire an outside group from Iowa or Missouri or Minnesota to come in here to do the work for you, fine. But don't look to them and say, what do we need? They're not from here. They didn't grow up here. They didn't raise their children here. They don't own a home here. They don't have an investment. Their investment in this community is the check you wrote them, okay? You're the experts on the city of Beatrice. You're the experts on Gage County. You need to tell them what you want.
Thank you, Ted. Alan?
Well, I think that we've been very involved with this for the last year and a half, since the demise of our past economic development organization. I think we have to have a partnership, more so than Ted may feel that we do, and I think we've created one. We have re-engaged the county with us in them seeing that they have to be a partner with us in this process. But also, everybody in the community has to be a party to economic development. You can have the most glamorous body out there that's working for you, that has all of the assets in the world. But if that person, that CEO or that individual that comes to our community who is just out fishing a little bit, stops at a gas station and just asks somebody working at that convenience store how they feel about Beatrice and what do they see going on in their community, they will develop an awfully large opinion from those people in the community. So we need to convince the people of our community that we need to try to sell and sell our community well. I think that as people get a chance to see our new economic group engage and see how it's organized and see the various steps that we've put into place, and granted, we haven't thrown a lot of it out there to the public yet. Scott's seen and heard most of it. I don't think it's too far out of line. But we've created an awful lot of checks and balances within that organization. We are having a group help us just organize that group. They are not helping us with our economic development from that standpoint. LB 840 is extremely important to us. You can have the best organization in the world, but if it has no resources, it can't do anything, and it's not going to do anything. We are looking at how that LB 840 plan is set up, and we're trying to make sure that it does do some things with small businesses, and it also is responsive to the people in the community.
Thank you, Al. At this time, we're going to move to the summation part of the program. Each candidate will be allowed 2 minutes to make their closing remarks. We're going to begin with Ted.
Once again, thank you for asking the questions. You at home, thanks for watching to form your opinions. Thanks to the audience for the questions that you've asked. Look, people in my ward know who I am. People in Beatrice know who I am. I'm direct and sometimes apologetically direct. But I'm approachable. I'm honest. You're never going to walk away from a conversation from me and say, I wonder what he really thought. Okay? If I don't know, I'm going to tell you I don't know. If I'm also going to say, I'll find out. I've represented the citizens in my ward on 4 different occasions. I was on the council for 8 years. I chose not to run. I ran again. I was on the council for 8 more years. I chose not to run. I'm running again simply because I was asked. I was asked, and I was asked, and I was asked. So I hope that you give me an opportunity to serve you again. I'm looking forward to that opportunity. I'm looking forward to an opportunity to see Beatrice grow. To curb our spending, to work with all the other boards and the members on the council, the mayor, the county board, but most importantly, just to give back to Beatrice. It's done well for my wife and I, and we just wanted an opportunity to give back. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Alan.
Thanks, Kurt. First of all, I'd like to thank Kurt, Lori, the Chamber, for again putting on these forums. As I said in my opening, I moved to Beatrice in 1973. I've been here since. And I chose to get involved with city government. Not too many people would remember the discussion that went on when we developed Hannibal Park, but it was a lot of that development of Hannibal Park and some of the issues going on there that pushed me into becoming involved with city government. And I've never regretted that. I got into it because I wanted to serve and I wanted to help the community. And as I continued to do that, I represented Ward 4 for 16 years and had a strong desire to see our community grow economically, physically, and grow in just simply its outlook. I have a desire to continue to work for the community, to see it continue to grow, and I would hope that the people of the second ward, who I've represented now for the last 8 years, we moved in the middle of that process, and I was off the council for 2 years in the middle, would give me an opportunity to continue to represent them and to help this community grow.
Thank you, Al. Stan.
Thanks, Kurt, Lori, and everybody in the audience tonight. It's nice to see at least most of the chairs are filled here to listen to what we have to say and answer your questions. That's important to you, and staying in contact with the constituents of every ward, I think, is a big listening process for everybody in that ward. You know, you'll be able to come and either come to the meetings and ask questions, or just give us a call and say, hey, and, you know, make ourselves available to you so you can ask those questions and find out what your needs and that you have that are true to you. I also want to think that working with the council, Gage County, Main Street, N-Gage, let's set a plan in motion, which it sounds that things are moving in that direction, and plan for the future. And I ask for your vote on May 15th. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of the Beatrice Area Chamber of Commerce, I'd like to thank you all for coming, and remember to vote on May 15th.